of time, let's get right down to business, and we'll talk about how to get opened, get read, and get results. We're going to talk about subject lines and what you can do to grow your business using email marketing. So this is easy stuff. This is fun stuff. You've probably been sending emails for a very long time, but it's a little bit different to send a marketing message than it is just to send a regular message. And so the hope here today is that you'll have a little bit more insight on what kind of messaging and what kind of subject lines in particular are more likely to get opened and read. Because there's spam and then there's helpful content. And we're going to try and guide you toward what's as helpful as possible for people as you're building content for them. All right, so first, this is me, and this is how to get a hold of me if you do have any questions or concerns during the event today, or as you're watching the recording. And thank you very much for the folks that are. Just send a note to dave@busyweb.com or 612-4VIZIO, 424-9990. You can request a PowerPoint if you want more details, but just drop me that line and we'll send that off to you. This is intended to be helpful as possible for you. And then also for anyone in the room, if you do have questions, feel free to shout those out. Be a little loud in your response so that the recording can get picked up. It's only trained on me, so you're not going to be visible, but we'll be able to hear you. So make sure to speak up if you want to ask those questions, but certainly don't be shy. This is all about you. All right, so we're doing first BusyWeb and who we are. We are a digital marketing agency located in Champlin, a little bit on the other side of the world from here, but certainly one of the things that we do best is we help our clients with digital marketing, and we build that digital marketing into an easy-to-use subset of content. So we build websites using WordPress, and we make those the foundation of everything else that we do. So when you update your website updates Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, and seamlessly integrates with your email. There are intake forms and things that you can use to integrate and to make your digital marketing of all stripes, including email, work for you in a system. So that's kind of what we do and how we do it. So at its core, marketing is all about getting and delivering results. What that usually means is that you're pushing content and getting results back. You're trying to push something and then receive that back. So what kind of results are we talking about? It might be clicks or downloads, visits to your store, reservations, calls. You're trying to elicit some sort of physical response, whether it's a click or a call or doing something. So you need to always think about that, and that's usually the one thing that you're asking for. Most good email revolves around one specific call to action. You might have a newsletter that'll ask for 3 or 4 things, but front and center, and the first thing that people see should be that one action that they can take. The more options you give people, the fewer or the less likely that anybody's going to take any action at all. So revenue and donations might be different content, and really email is where everybody is. So 91% of US adults like to receive promo emails from companies they do business with. And notice that these aren't sales messages as much as it's just helpful and engaging information. And then as well, 138% spend more time with email offers than those who don't receive any email offers. So if you want people to engage with your company, the best way to do that is to engage them with email. The #1 app on your phone, on any smartphone, is still email, by a factor of 5 to 1. So that's where people are. Subject lines can help get your email read. They can bring you more revenue. They can build awareness around your organization. Really, it's the first window that people have into your company. And so it's really important to keep it short and sweet, and to more than ever think about mobile as one of the options that you're considering. Most of our stuff now is really designed mobile first. So when you think about what you see on your iPhone or your Android, you only get 7 or 8 words that people can even see as they're browsing through their email list. And then you might get an extra sentence or so that people would be able to preview, but it's very, very brief. So you have to think about that first and foremost. So whether it's connections, more than 1/3 of people open an email based on the subject line. And a smartphone is absolutely your mobile inbox. We already talked about that. but really 53% of all emails are opened on a mobile device. And we mentioned that's the #1 app on a smartphone. People check their phones 150 times a day, right? It's turned into a parlor game or a dinner game where everybody sits their phone in the middle of the table when you're eating out with someone, and the first person to grab their phone has to pay the check. So be sure and be careful that you're taking all of that into account. It's just how people work today. Here's our agenda for the day. Why are subject lines so important? I write good ones, and to consider desktop and mobile as you're building this stuff out. We're going to give you some concrete examples on both. We'll talk about next steps, and then we'll get you off on your day. And again, this is designed to be done within an hour, so it's going to be relatively fast, but don't be afraid or shy to ask me questions as things pop up. So first, why are subject lines so important? An email that isn't opened doesn't get you anywhere, right? So the more we can do to get you to that next stop, you need to think about 3 words: now, later, or never, when people are reading those emails. Are people going to read June newsletter, or are they going to read I need your help tomorrow? Right? What's it going to take to get that next step? And likewise, if you receive an email from sales at, are you more likely to read that, or are you more likely to read it from Lee or Amanda at? Right? So using a real person's name in conjunction with that great subject line is going to get you where you want to go. So 3 reasons they will open your email: they recognize you. Again, we just talked about the sales thing. Convenient timing, when it was received. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to find that good window, and it's different for everyone. But depending on your clients and what they do, you're going to want to tailor your messages so that they're more likely to get seen. And then a compelling subject. Is this worth reading? Is it worth spending my time on? One note about the now, later, or never. Now, of course, they're going to open it. Never, of course, they're just going to delete it. Later is really the Minnesota Nice version of never, right? You think about it, you're like, I'll check on it later, and then you go through your messages like 3 months later when you're trying to clear out your inbox, and you just delete, right? So get it opened now. All right, so how to win the battle of priorities using your subject lines. There's 2 seconds that you have to engage and connect with people. So within those first 2 seconds, you have to grab their attention. You've got about 2 words, and those 2 words should be action-oriented to get them to take that open step. And then you have to tell them what it means today. So get to them with 2 words, 2 seconds today. So think about the rule of 2-2-2. So why should they open your email? Identify your purpose and be clear and clever. Entice them. Use teaser text. That's this stuff right underneath here, right? So I mentioned before, this is your subject line. Arco Yoga at 10,000 feet. You win. Aspire to higher ground. Join us for this. And so it's getting right into that action. And note, this is even squishier than a normal email would be as far as how much text you get, but that's a minimum as far as what you're probably going to be able to see. So people are viewing these on their mobile devices. You need to think about that. Customize your message. This doesn't have to be the same as anything else in your message. It doesn't automatically pull that. There's an extra teaser text line in emails, especially in constant contact. It gives you that extra lever to help you get your content opened. So as you choose your words, avoid those spam-like terms, and all of that stuff is on the right side. Avoid terms like free or all caps, urgent, unless it truly is urgent. Any of these things are likely to not only turn people off, but will probably just capture the attention of your spam filter on your computer. It'll just jump into spam. You won't get it seen at all. Use the spam check button in your email tool, and whether you're using Constant Contact or MailChimp, Mailer, all of that, they all have good email browsing or email checking tools to make sure that you're not tipping off the spam filters or using too spammy of language in your content. But credit, offers, save, purchase, free is a huge one. So even if you have something free, I probably wouldn't lead with that in your subject line. So you want to get out in front of people. So How to write good notes? Well, a good subject line can really make or break your email. So thinking about this and what it's going to take is going to be important. It's a driver of sales, event attendees, fundraising success, and subscriber participation. And standout subject lines will get your emails over. So you want to keep it short and sweet. Keep 4 to 7 words. Again, the 2-2-2 rule. 2 seconds, 2 words. And what you need to do today. Attractive offers. Make it discounts and gifts. But again, you probably don't want to focus on save or free, and especially don't use any caps or all exclamation points in your email subject line, because it probably won't get seen at all. Keep it clean. Make it easy for mobile devices. You're not going to want to use huge imagery in your messaging because people can't see that on their itty-bitty phones. Brand identity. Make sure that you incorporate your colors, your logo, your content. It should look like something from you. A bunch of folks get my emails, right? Mm-hmm. The opposite folks. John, do you get everything?
No, I should get on your list.
Oh, well, I'll tell you how at the end. But it's all of our stuff is branded, and you can tell at a glimpse that Busy Web content is from Busy Web. Air of mystery, raise your interest, get creative. Again, you're trying to engage people with your subject lines. I have this 4-step kind of mantra that you do in all of digital marketing. It's engage, inform, capture, and convert. Engage is the part of the subject line that captures people's attention and gets them to at least register some interest. Be interesting, but having, the 4 things that every accountant needs to know, or June newsletter. That's not good, right? Try reading it in the teacher in Ferris Bueller's voice, and if it really resonates, right? Bueller, anyone, June newsletter. You're probably not going to get there. Think of it as 3 things that you need to know today. That's what I am going to respond to, or at least capture my attention. Ask questions, make them think. Did you know? 3 things, those list stuff. There's all kinds of spammy kind of websites out there that are click farms, right, or clickbait. Might be Reddit, might be TMZ, bunch of all of those things. There's lists and top 10s, and you won't believe what happens next. I hate you won't believe what happens next, so don't use that. But the things that they write, start to be a student of what people are using in subject lines and social media, because they're doing a lot of research on what's engaging and what's interesting. Create urgency, so don't miss out. I mentioned before, need 3 hammers tomorrow, or give us something, again, today, in order to drive that urgency. Entertain, warn, or inform. Sharing your knowledge. 3 things that might sink your business, or the best way to save money on whatever. If you're an electrician, what to know before your air conditioning goes out, or flicker could mean fire, or something like that, right? Get people's interest. And then literary techniques, right? Like a pro. There's alliteration, there's onomatopoeia, start with a bang, all that kind of stuff. Use your verbal muscles to capture people's attention. It's an art form, the subject line stuff. If you're good at Twitter, and if you kind of get like the uber compressed content, subject lines should come easy. It'll also feel a little bit weird, especially if your business is not really marketing focused. When you start writing marketing messages, it even feels weird for me sometimes, because you have to be out there and you have to be engaging right away. It's hard to back into a long-winded message in email, because people don't like long-winded stuff when they're sitting in traffic and trying to burn through their messages, or the last thing they look at before bed, right, as they're looking at their phones. So think about what's going to capture that attention. Improving your subject line using the top appeal. Top 3 reasons, 5 priorities, top 7 concerns, 11 issues, 9 best tips and tricks, or 7 need-to-know strategies. Get right to the heart of what you're trying to convey. And you really have to think about this as being from your client's perspective. You know your clients better than anyone else. If you don't, start thinking about that. But what you provide as a solution or a service to your clients is what you need to focus on. So it's not top five priorities that are completely unrelated to your business. It's top 5 things that people need to know if they want to do business with you. If I sell drill bits, what do I sell? Really? Holes, right? So what's the hole that you fill for your client? What's that thing that they're actually looking for? They're not working with you because you're super nice, although people tell me that once in a while. But they're working with you because you provide some service that they can't get anywhere else. Focus on that. Focus on that front room. With office centers, it's focusing on the community, on the family, on the convenience, on the collaboration, on the excitement that you get walking into a beautiful office center, right? So it's not about you. You don't need a subject line or any post really with "We've been in business for 35 years." Snooze, so what, right? It's can you fix what hurts for me? So focus in on that. Great subject lines to get emails opened. The top appeal, 7 must-haves for fall. Sense of urgency, only 12 seats left. Get yours before midnight. Personalize what you need to know about your personal finances. Doing that in the third person would be much less effective. What one should know about one's personal finances is way more boring, right? Ask a question. How can we help your business grow? Exclusive appeal, an exclusive offer just for you. Here's the tip on exclusive offers. Make dang sure they are exclusive. If you offer an exclusive offer and then they go to your website and they see the exact same offer, you've just kind of blown your trust with your client. And then finally, staying in the know. 13 signs you're budgeting wrong, right? So tip, trick, easy, capture people's attention. Literary techniques. Onomatopoeia, boom, crackle, pop, hiss, whatever, right? My next one, illusions. We're bringing crafty back, right? So tap into some of the popular media, right? A lot of people were going purple on their websites after Prince died, and that wasn't by accident. It's sad, but it's true. When people have their attention on something, tap into it. That's a really interesting and wonderful use of Twitter, by the way. You can see trending topics on Twitter and Facebook. You can see what everybody's talking about on the right-hand side. You guys, the right-hand side. Right. But tapping into that stuff. Alliteration. 7 simple solutions to saving. Right? Easy. You want it to pop, and people respond to that type of message. Chunking. Lions, tigers, and the Springfield Bears. Oh my. Right? So bunching things together. And numbers. 13 ways you're killing your credit score. No, this is in all caps. That's a big no-no. That's a big warning. So I would be careful with that. Check your spam filters on that, or your spam score generator, because anytime you use all caps, that has a tendency to at least make the spam filters in people's inboxes nervous. And then adapt your subject lines using literary techniques. So June promotion, trying onomatopoeia. Splish splash, so this prices we've slashed. Or cha-ching, right? Easy. Newsletter, illusions. Let's try it. We let the dogs out. That shot's this Saturday, right? Fido's got 99 problems, but fleas ain't one, right? Easy. Mother's Day specials, alliteration. Make mom's morning miraculous. I say that 5 times fast. Cards, candy, and one cozy couch. Easy. Signing up for summer camp, chunking. Summer camp 2016, new archery, fencing, and sailing. 3 things chunked together. Or kids love it, parents dream about it, registration is open. Right? It's also kind of humorous, right? Keeping it light and interesting is very good. Make sure and be careful when you use humor that it's for everybody humor, right? You don't want to go political. You don't want to go religious. You certainly don't want to go racist or risque. But people do this stuff in the name of trying to capture attention. And in today's world, it's instantly obvious and instantly shareable if you do something blatantly stupid. So always check with a coworker or a friend or someone random at office centers here to say, hey, does this subject line seem a little racy to you? Or what would you do? But New England concert update numbers: 3 Canvas summertime festivals, and 16, but only 1 Miranda Lambert. Easy, right? So all great examples and easy. If you want this, by the way, again, just send an email to dave@busyweb.com and I'll send you this slide. This is easy tricks to use. All right, so what would you change? Our monthly tax newsletter. Anybody?
All right.
Yeah. How about 3 overlooked tax deductions you may qualify for?
You're losing money.
Yes. Whoosh. Here's the sound of or do you hear crickets when you open your wallet, right? New product arrival. Ideas? How about sweet dreams are made of cheese, right? Get it out there, be funny, be interesting. Get a free Apple Watch. Ooh, 3 exclamation points, capitalized free. Nobody's gonna see that puppy, it's gonna go right into the spam filter. But how about Apple Watch? Want one? Easy.
Well, we have your Apple Watch or something.
Right. Your Apple Watch wants your wrist.
Yeah.
Something like that,
An
right?
Apple.
Want a watch without costing your arm?
Right. A watch without an arm and a leg, right? Yeah. So, finding inspiration. Again, look at those headlines. TMZ, BuzzFeed, Mashable, all these places are great incubators of fantastic subject lines. But don't go whole hog or over the top and try to mimic all of them because they're more interested in clicks than real engagement. Again, you need to think about your clients first. You're trying to be as useful and as helpful as possible. Magazine headlines, covers, as you're going through the checkout line, People magazine, what are they talking about? It's not read our copy today to learn about beauty tips. It's 3 things that are going to make you wrinklier than ever or whatever, right? Look at what others are doing. Check and subscribe to lots of newsletters. I personally really like what our team is doing with the Busy Web, the Busy News newsletters, and the content that we put out. We have busy events that we send out once a week. So the team does a really good job of popping those messages. So use what we do or use that as inspiration. Search results headlines. So search for your topic, search for your clients, search for you, and look at what other people are doing, because you're going to see helpful articles that are going to tease into what you can think about. Blog titles, same thing. Tweets on Twitter with lots of engagement. Again, this is the trending topics kind of stuff. So look along the right-hand side and see what a lot of people are talking about. Or search, again, on Twitter for your subject, your content, and see what's getting a lot of engagement. You can see lots of little hearts now. It used to be, just stars or retweets, but hearts on Twitter, if something has like 95 tweets or hearts, you're going to see that that's probably pretty effective. And listicles that make you curiously click their headlines, like BuzzFeed, Upworthy, and Mashable. All good stuff. Again, you don't want to copy them or only do that stuff because you'll see a lot of, you won't believe what happens next, right? Or I cried when I saw this. That's a little over the top, right? But it's all good stuff and it's all interesting and it gets at this. It helps shift your paradigm from business speak to marketing speak, right? Because we need to kind of walk that line. So other inspiration spots. Why is this back up again? Okay, well, it was so good that it was up there twice. And next, considering desktop and mobile. So any questions on the subject lines? Or do you have a subject line that you want us to think about, tease? Think about it for a couple of minutes and jot one down if you want help with it.
I just know that for us, when we're doing our weekly newsletters or our weekly This Week at Office Center events,
Right.
we spend a lot of time thinking about the title. And,
Yeah.
Amanda and I will go through 15, 20
Yeah.
minutes of things, and then we send it to Lori, and Lori doesn't like it, or we change a word.
Mhm.
But and Lori's really hot about making sure that we have things that would be compelling for people to open our things. And since Lori's brought that to mine and Amanda's attention, we've really found that, I look at what I open even.
Mhm.
And as far as, we will jot down things that catch my eye, and then we'll try to, as we could say, office centerize them to
Right.
make them work for what our clients would look for.
Right.
But it is a real art to keep that down to those few words and make it something that's really interesting.
Right. And it needs to immediately pop, and it needs to get right to the point, but it also needs to capture people's attention. And so it's a little bit of a dance. And doing what you guys are doing is a fantastic way to get creative. You need to brainstorm a little bit. You need to bump it off. We're all Office Center's clients. Again, having a hangout or a quick session is a great way to do that. Yes, John.
What do you think the difference is in this context, between business to consumer and business to business?
Amazingly little.
Yeah.
So the thing with business to business is you're still getting at why people should care, right? So with business to consumer or retail oriented businesses, you can get right to one of the things that you should care about is we've got a sale. Or one of the things you should care about is we have products available right now. In B2B, in business to business communication, you're more trying to build a connection with people. Make yourself as referable as possible, right? And a lot of times that takes a little bit longer, but you're not going to get there by being boring and mumbling in the corner. You have to be the person out there shaking people's hands and networking like crazy in order to get people to get interested in you, but then to know that you can be trusted, right?
And a follow-up, we're all played in business with jargon.
Yes.
And you're suggesting lighten it up or at least humanize it?
Yes. To the extent that it still needs to resonate with your clients. So if you're a CPA and you're trying to reach bookkeepers at business offices, right? It's okay to use some of those jargon bits because that tells people, that's part of what they're thinking about. Mm-hmm. But if you're going for a general purpose kind of message, you probably don't want to lead it with, CE or SEO and SEM, 3 PPC ideas that'll get you more clicks. What? I understood what that was, right? But nobody in my audience does. But if I'm a CPA, then ROI and EBITDA, right? 3 things you need now. That's going to resonate. But yes, in general, jargon for the sake of jargon is not a great idea.
So then, when you have, a big list, our list is what, almost 2,000 people. So are you saying the best thing to do is to divide it down to smaller lists to target?
Yes. And there are different uses and different times for that. I'm pretty sure I've got a little bit about, segmenting lists and being effective. But in general, the more broad your message is or the more broad the audience is, the more your language has to match that, which is one of the pieces of magic inside of being really careful with your lists. So if I'm sending to just my legal clients, I can be a little bit more cheeky and tie into legal themes, right? Same thing with accountants, same thing with, construction trade folks, any of that stuff, right? But if I'm going to everybody, I have to be pretty general. We have a list of over 10,000 now at BusyWeb. And we have to be very general when we're trying to reach everybody. But we have a list just of business owners. We have a list of the different lines of business that we like to support. And we can be more targeted with that. And generally, the open rates are higher on that. The more specific you can be, the better you're going to see. The other thing to know is that don't be afraid of and don't forget to measure your results. I have an entire other deck on this on how to write effective email copy. But one of the things that you should think about and look at every single time is the ratio between open rates and click-through rates. So a message that gets a very high open rate, but a very low click-through rate means you've captured people's attention, but once they got there, they didn't have anything to do. So you didn't resonate or follow it up with content that was actionable. So then you want to just focus on, maybe you had 7 things inside of that message that you were asking people to look at, and they just like, and then they went to later, right? Which means never. Or maybe you had a very low click-through rate, or a very low open rate, but a high click-through rate on there. So 7 people opened my message this last time, but every single one of them clicked on my link. What that probably indicates is that you found a niche. You found a list of people that are really engaged with what you were trying to accomplish. So then you segment that list and you give them more of that kind of message, right? The craziest and coolest thing to me with email marketing is that you can be so laser focused with your people because you know who clicked on what. One of the things that we do at BusyWeb is we watch very carefully who clicked on what content, and we'll either proactively reach out to people if they've registered for an event or they clicked on the event but they didn't register, and say, hey, any questions about that? Was it a bad time or whatever? Or
Through email?
We'll segment that right out. Say, here's our list. So go by your clicks. You know who's doing what, and you can use that for competitive and market intelligence. So easy. All right, let's talk about mobile for a little bit, and then we'll get more into that again. So 76%, of course, of people read email on their phones, 67% of B2B emails on their phone, and 64% of key decision makers read email on their mobile. Don't forget about mobile. Mobile design best practices. First, use mobile-friendly or single-column templates. There's ways and templates that you can use that have like 3 columns of content. It was built back for the olden days of, you built a newsletter and it was pretty and all this stuff, and it was meant to be printed out, or at least viewed on a big wide PC screen. Now it needs to be single purpose, 1 column, because people are viewing it on their phones. What happens, and I think there's an example in here in a minute, is if you have multiple columns, you can't really read anything because the phone tries to figure out what it's going to say, and then it can't. You can't figure it out. Logo on the left or center, left or center, and always hyperlinked back to you. Apply your brand colors. People should be very clear that this is you right from the get-go. And minimum 12-point font for body text and 22-point font for calls to action. So this is 22-point. It's hard to believe on this itty-bitty device, but that's 22-point, and this is 12-point text. Imagine if you tried to fit as much content as possible and you threw it in on 9-point text. People would be, grabbing their bifocals and holding it out on their phone. That's just not a good option to get read. Customize the pre-header text. That's this stuff up here. So keeping you informed. So keeping you informed on what's new this cycling season. That's pre-header text, and that's available only inside of email marketing tools. You don't get that when you're just sending an email to all kinds of people. And by the way, this entire talk I've been assuming that you're smart and engaged enough as a marketer to know that you can't just send messages out to a lot of people from your inbox. Anytime you send more than like 20 messages at a time, you dramatically increase the risk that you're going to get blacklisted, especially if it adheres to one of those other spammy things like lots of free or content. Because whenever people see that stuff, if they click delete or if they click spam, it doesn't really hurt you in an email marketing tool because they use all kinds of different IP addresses. Getting really geeky here for a second, but every server has a different IP address, and URLs on the web are associated with specific IP addresses. It's basically like an email forwarding service or a mail forwarding service. When someone goes to busyweb.com, they're really going to 202.158.351. If a lot of people click spam on a message that you sent from that address, they won't be able to see your content because Comcast, AOL, a bunch, or all of the other ISPs, they will blacklist your domain if it gets too many spam reports. So anybody that's on Comcast wouldn't be able to see your website or any of your emails if you send too much. So that's why I use the tools like Constant Contact. All right, preview and pane. Preview pane and pre-header text. So again, preview pane is a way to read email on desktop. Displays a snippet of your email. It displays the top half of your email. Text is the first line of text above the logo, best seen on mobile devices. Pre-header text is the first line of text, so it's this. And that's the content right there. So start building trust with your email. Happy Independence Day. A display of wealth and glamour. View this email in your browser. Ooh, that's boring, right? That's not good. So make a great first impression. Start building trust with your email, right? So that 1-2 punch right there makes a lot of sense. A preview pane is a way to read email on desktop. It displays a snippet of your email and the top half of your email or so. So right here, start building trust with your email subscribers. And all of this is what people can see when they're browsing through on their computers in that preview pane. So again, you want to keep as much meat up here as possible. If it's a big long image that, if your yoga studio is just a person making a crazy pose that I could never make, right? That might lose a lot of people. But if you get right to the call to action right there, there's much more likelihood that they're going to say, oh, get it? Click, done, right? So that's that. So size matters. 30 to 40 characters max typically appear on most mobile devices. 30 to 40 characters is a third of a tweet. It's very, very short. There's actually content length measurement tools built right in Constant Contact, so you can see how long that stuff is. And it'll start warning you if it gets too long. 6 to 11 words fit best. 4 to 7 words has the greatest response. So shorter is better. And customize the first 8 or 11 to 18 words of pre-header text. And that's about that tweet length. The pre-header text is the stuff, again, that shows up right underneath your subject line on mobile devices. 53% of email is open on mobile devices. I think that's actually gone up because this deck was actually built all the way back in January. So things have changed quite a bit. So, next steps. First, consider and think about a great tool like Constant Contact, of course. There's tools inside of all of this. So colors and fonts and blocks, the spam check button that I mentioned before, that's built right in on here. This is all incredibly easy to manipulate and use inside of this tool. It's also like 30 bucks a month to do this stuff. So it's cheap. First 2 months are completely free. If you want to fill out a form and get it back to you. It's easy. You can do this campaign and you can recreate campaigns as you move forward. You can change that to one winter weather cure. So it says right here, this is how to change that text. On the colors and fonts, you can change all that stuff up. There's the reporting. You can see the success of your subject lines. So looking at what this was, that was kind of a stinker of a campaign. This one was rocking. What's the difference between these two? You can see that right inside of that message. Or using your reporting tools. Oh, sorry. And here's those subject lines. So Half Moon Yoga Newsletter. Ooh, that's boring. Thanks for your support. Enjoy a class on us. Duh. Now I know why. Right? One wonderful weather cure. March Yoga Madness. Right? So yoga at 10,000 feet, you win. It's good stuff. Right? So 4 simple steps. Brainstorm 3 versions of any message or any subject line that you come up with. Test it on mobile and desktop. So send it to yourself. There's a testing tool built right into these email marketing tools where you can test it, send it to a couple of different people, and make sure that they open it not only on their computer, but on their mobile phone. Because you might be surprised how crazy things can get between a regular device and a mobile device. Consider preview pane display and customize that preview text. Again, this is going to be really obvious as soon as you click on it in a mobile device, because you'll see it on that left-hand side or in your email list, and it'll say, use this. I had clients that went to someone else, I have no idea why, for their email marketing, but it said, in every email that went out from this electrician, it said, use this space for your pre-header text on every message they sent out. I was like, okay. And I sent him a bunch of notes saying, hey, you might want to change that. Because, I like to take care of people. So, but no, it still says it every time he sends out that note.
We get something, it'll say dear, and then it'll have parentheses.
Brackets, yeah.
And I keep saying, we'll send it back to people, and I'm like, you might want to change this.
Yeah.
Because...
And that's part of the stuff that you can do, right? So you gotta test it, otherwise you're gonna get surprised. And then of course, monitor your progress. Think about this stuff, think about what you're doing, and there's such amazing and easy tools to measure and monitor and track your response and your results, that if you don't look at the reports, you're missing out on a ton. So that's really it. And so I offered up that if you have subject lines that you want us to look at, this is your time. We've got about 15 minutes before we gotta bust loose out of here. But again, if you do sign up, so there's a free sign up for 60 days on here if you don't have email marketing yet and you want to try it. There's no credit card information. We just ask you for your email address and a login that you want, and then you try it. Play around with it and get it set up. But then if you do sign up, we can get you a custom mobile responsive template that Constant Contact builds for us. And actually Office Center's got one of these, and it turned out so cool. It was really nice.
Does anybody else use Constant Contact in here?
I think my company does.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm not involved in it, but
Yeah.
I think they do.
Easy stuff. Easy stuff. But that's a $199 value. If you just go to Constant Contact and ask them to do that, it costs you $200. You get it for free because you work with us. Because VisiWeb is an authorized local expert in Constant Contact. So plans start at like $20 a month for email only. There's a lot of cool stuff that's built into the Email Plus. It includes subjects or surveys, event marketing, so you can do all this stuff. The events that came out to you guys and that you subscribed through, that was inside of Constant Contact's tools. There's social media marketing tools built into Constant Contact now, and it's just easy, and it works really well. So take us up on that. And again, if you want more information on this stuff, I've done most of these events before, and so if you want another replay of this one, because I didn't answer any questions, just go to visiweb.com/events, and we'll talk about that. Tomorrow, every single Wednesday, we do busy webinars. Tomorrow, I am talking about the use of HTTPS in your website and why that now matters to Google. Google is starting to downgrade websites that don't use secure socket layers on their websites. So if you don't have an SSL, it might be an interesting way to do that. But every week we talk about something in how to make your digital marketing more effective. There's more than 220 of those out there in our digital marketing library. So if you're worried about it or thinking about it, there's a good chance that you can hear me talk about it. And then finally, get your 60-day free trial. And if you want more information about your particular industry, if you go to blogs.constantcontact.com/library, there's an entire suite of services that'll say, for your industry, what a normal open rate is, and the types of content that work best. It'll also tell you the time that will work best based on your demographics. So you can lay that out. There's handy guides and charts. I talk about this in another message or in another talk, but the best way to figure out the best time to send your messaging is to segment your list out into 3 different lists and send the same message at 3 different times. Might be Monday morning, might be Wednesday afternoon, might be Friday night. Take the one that works best, and then figure out, say Wednesday is by far your biggest open day. Send that out to the entire, or to that list again, randomize it up a little bit, but then try morning, afternoon, and night on that Wednesday. And then you'll start to see, okay, what's working for us and what's our best. So it's going to be different for everybody, but this tool, blogs.constantcontact.com/library, has a lot of that information wrapped up in handy infographic form to give you a leg up. And then finally, John, you asked how to join. If you send busy to 22828 on your text messaging on your phone, or again, if you sign up, you put a little star next to you, we'll add you to our list. Feel free if you get these and they don't make sense for you, just to unsubscribe it. But that's how we keep up to date. And I think our team does a pretty good job of writing great subject lines and being helpful. We don't ever sell and we don't ever share. It's our email marketing list, and all we do is share helpful tips and tricks. I'm a firm believer and preach every one of these things that I do, that social media marketing, digital marketing is never about sell, 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 but always about help, help, help. So if you want helpful tips and information, subscribe up to us. That's really it. So if you have a subject line that you'd like us to look at, or any other questions on digital marketing, this is your chance to play Stump the Dave. Sweet.
I was just gonna ask about the time, so
Yeah.
that's interesting, please.
Yeah, it's and you're going to want to search a bunch of different segments because you have a bunch of different kinds of clients. Honestly, you probably also know when your clients are most often in, or when you get the most kind of support and request things. Another great resource to tap into that you own already is your frequently asked questions lists. So if you have on your website frequently asked questions, make each one of those frequently asked questions a subject line in an email. And you'll start A, responding directly to what your people are probably already looking for, but B, and maybe more importantly, stop getting those questions asked over and over again, right? So get right to it. And this stuff, all of these things, especially on subject lines, this applies to Facebook posts, this applies to Twitter, this applies to your blogs, all of these subject line tips and tricks. Make it urgent, time-based, and interesting. Use those alliteration techniques and all the other stuff that you can do to capture people's attention. Marketing is about engage, inform, capture, and then convert. So if you can engage people by being interesting, that grabs their attention. Next, you have to show that you have a depth of knowledge as well as that you're able to be interesting. So show them that you are the expert in your field by informing them, sharing some of what you know that they don't. And then you give them that next step by texting busy or whatever, giving them some sort of a call to action. And then you can continue to engage and inform them until you convert them into a customer. It's not rocket science. It's just be as helpful as possible, as long as possible, and make sure that people know what to do next. And then don't forget to tip me once you're a billionaire. Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you.
Thank you.